Lee Richter, welcome to the Story Engine podcast.
Yay. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you.
I am so happy to be here. I met you in the most amazing living room of yours just a few weeks ago, and we had some amazing conversations. And I am so excited to showcase your brilliance because it's in a particular area that's close to my heart today. And I want to introduce you properly by giving you the chance to tell the audience who you are and what you're up to in the world today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And yes, it was nice. And it was such a pleasure to meet you in my living room. And it was among friends that we've known for years. And how our paths did not cross sooner is unbelievable. It might have, and we just didn't notice. But I'm glad that we are noticing now. So thank you for coming into my life. You're such a ray of sunshine. We discussed earlier, my dog Sammy fell in love with you, and he's very picky. So we want to keep you coming back for more. So there we are. And where I am right now is thinking about how am I navigating in the world, right? I am an entrepreneur first and foremost in my life, in my business life. But even before that, I'm a mom, right? I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm a friend. There's so many different pieces to me. But the one that gets me the most excited right now is this entrepreneur, trek that I'm on. I've been an entrepreneur since like the 1990s when I launched my first company. And I have that company still. It's a PR and marketing company, and it serves me well. And I have some other companies. So I think first and foremost, I'm an entrepreneur and a creator of jobs and opportunities and brands and ideas. And so that's where I am right now.
You say it, and it's very understated in a lot of ways. And one of the things that really stood out to me when we were spending time at your home for a retreat, as you said, I am a top 1% woman of the world. You've created many businesses in many spaces, and you've held a great amount of leadership among women, among men, among the whole world. And one of the things that I'm excited to talk about today is your ability to create vision, which has brought you to this. But I would love to just hear a little bit more before we dive into the details of vision, like how it has played a role in your journey in this creator space, because I imagine there's been many challenges along the way, and holding to this vision is what's gotten you where you are.
That is true. Yes. I think seeing the vision, which, by the way, as a visionary, sometimes you see 50 or 100 things. You have to decide which ones are the one or two to actually take action on. So it's not only coming up with the vision, but it's coming up with the vision that drives you so much that the desire is you want to execute the vision and see it through. And I think what it is really be discerning with what you really want, right? I walk my garden 7 times in a row. I'll walk around 7 times, and each time I ask deeper and deeper, what do I really want? What do I really want? What do I really want in life? What do I really want in my mind, my body, my spirit? How do I want to show up? And I ask those questions in a deep way. And when I do, it's not just to create the vision, but to create the enthusiasm and excitement and desire behind it to execute the vision. So sometimes that takes a little time. In Silicon Valley, they teach us how to do it in a 5-day sprint. So it doesn't take too much time. There's a book named Sprint, Sprint, by Jason Knapp. And he teaches how to come up with an idea and decide if it's worth to follow through on execution in 5 days. So I think what's happened is I take my vision and then I add a system to it, right? Some sort of system. Am I going to execute this vision is the first piece of it, the decision of yes, go, or no go, right? Once it is then who's going to help me with it, right? In the vision, who is going to help me with that vision? That is going to be a big player in my no, go, or my go. Because if I have the right people to help me with it, it's so much easier to say yes. So in creating the vision, I'm also creating the space for others to come and collaborate and play in that space and make it fun and make it exciting and make it the blue ocean, something that didn't exist before. So that's what really turns me on as a visionary.
There's an interesting contrast that you've brought here. One of the things you mentioned, I spend a lot of time walking around my garden, which in Silicon Valley area might not seem at the highest productivity thing to do. And then shortly thereafter, you're bringing an idea to market or coming up with an idea and deciding if it's solid in 5 days, which feels like a very rushed process, but and then simultaneously walking through the garden is not rushed at all. And what I appreciate as somebody who has created similar things is that there's a system within it. You know how to think, and you can both give yourself the space to walk in the garden, and you kind of have a way to channel your mind in a right way. And that seems like something that's been well practiced over time.
Mm.
Where did you learn, or how did you come up with this to allow where you are now? Because I imagine this is something that you've been developing for years.
I love that you asked that question. Like, where did it originate? And it originated several places that all pointed in the same direction. And the first one was my first job was with Merrill Lynch. And I worked with them in Wilmington, Delaware, and then Washington, D.C., and then Palm Beach, Florida. And I learned so many skills from them. I learned how to be focused. I learned how to put systems together. I learned how to invest. I learned the power of money and the power of intention and the power of relationships. But what is the big driver is Think and Grow Rich, right? Napoleon Hill, the original. That is the life I've been living since I was 21 with the principles of Think and Grow Rich. And ironically, I just started reading it again with a book group, which is funny because in the book he says, read it with a group of people. And my friend Joe Stolte started a group with just about 20 of us. And we're on a WhatsApp group and we're reading 1 or 2 chapters a week and coming together. And what I realized is all of us are learning more just through hearing everyone else's perspective. And so here I've been reading it for more than 20 years. And this year I'm reading it with a group of other entrepreneurs. And it's really fun to hear the other perspective. So I think it comes back to collaboration again, right? How do we create opportunities to collaborate with others that make it easy, lucrative, and fun for us? The Joe Polish way, the elf mentality, easy, lucrative, and fun. If I'm making my life easy, lucrative, and fun, then I want to do that every day, all day. And that creativity part of enjoying my garden and being in the present moment and seeing a ladybug inside of the white flower and seeing a 4-leaf clover, which is only a chance 1 in 10,000, but I found one the other day. Being able to be that present in the garden allows me to really just connect with myself and Mother Nature. And what's really important to us is our connection to our soul and our inside. What are we really thinking? What's my mind telling me and why? Well, when I'm in the garden, I'm tuned into not just the inner voice, but really what is my mind thinking about and what is my thinking doing? Is it stinking thinking or good thinking? And is it what I want to keep continuing? And so I think the 7 treks around my garden, 7 layers deep of what am I thinking and what do I really want, allows me to see the logical pieces that I answer. The first 5 times I go around is all the logical things, but then it starts being the heart-based things. And when I start getting to the heart-based things, then I know I'm really hitting what really matters. And by the way, that's 7 layers deep around my garden. I've done that with no less than 12 people in the last week. 12 other people that have come to my house and I've assigned it to them, CEOs of companies, people I coach, friends of mine, even my brother, and past relationships. Like other people have come to visit me and I've said, would you like to join me in 7 layers deep? And they do. And it's amazing how some of them take it so seriously. One of them was 3 hours for them to do their 7 tracks. One of them stayed overnight. He was up from LA and he split it half at night, half in the morning. But it was a transformation when he got to the end. He actually did 9 layers deep. He couldn't stop at 7. He went to 9. He's in AI. And what he learned was that 8 and 9 were the most important to him. So that's why he couldn't stop. And when he kept going, it was so relevant because he realized he hadn't stopped and taken time to think about what does he really want. So when he was here and he took time to walk in the garden and be present, It was transformational for him in just less than 24 hours. He was a new person when he left here, just tuning in to his vision of what he really wants.
So you are passionate about sharing this and incredibly generous to many people on this, and this is what we're really here to talk about today, is that you have developed a process to teach and share this at scale. So maybe they can't, not everybody listening to the show could take a walk in your garden in particular, but everybody could take a walk in their own garden, metaphorical or otherwise, and start to experience this balance of both being relaxed and being in the flow and being decisive and productive at the same time, which I feel many of us as creators is something we desire. But speaking of which, who is the perfect person for this kind of system? And maybe even I'm skipping a step. Do we have a name for all of these different components?
We just put together a vision board system, and it's because people have been asking me for years to do it. We put it together a couple years ago, and then this year we went in with AI and onboarding people online, and we just updated it. And what we did was just teach people why to vision board, how to vision board, and just be open to creating the vision of your future. I mean, going all the way back to Think and Grow Rich, that's what it's about, is how do you create a vision so strong that it drives your desire to execute it and get it done. And it's all inside of us, it's not outside of us. So how do we look inside and just have it come out in front of us to make it come true? Like, I have one of my vision boards here, right? This is just a little vision board that I did, and I look at this all the time. You know, it's talking about energy, and it's talking about a daily practice. Taking care of myself is an essential part of my routine. It's reminding me how to create best choices for longevity, including movement and nutrition and rest and mindset. And so it's just these little prompts in here that I'm doing for me. And, remembering what lights me up, right? What lights me up? I'm thinking about that every day when I see this. What lights me up today? My daughter's here
Yeah,
in town visiting. That lights me up. Being here on this podcast with you, that lights me up. So now I get to see in the beginning of my day how to set it up so it's a day that I feel lit up and winning and happy and excited about how I'm spending my time.
awesome. We'll
Yeah, I did
transition to
create
the
a course, and
first.
it's mostly because so many people have asked me, how do you do it? And my friend Lisa Nichols taught me how to do a really nice vision board about 15 years ago. We were in Mexico actually, and she taught me how to do a vision board. We were sitting on the beach. There were about 6 of us, and we just had a blast doing vision boards. And ever since then, I've done them pretty much at least once a quarter. Sometimes I'll have people over the holidays and we'll all do them together. Last year we had like a dozen people at my house over New Year's, and some of them were children that were under 10 and they still did vision boards. And yeah, we had a blast with it. So I think it's for
Awesome.
all ages, and we all
Let's
get
talk
to live into
about the
our dreams. And when we
perfect
start making it
person
visible in front
who
of us.
could. Um, sorry, I think we had a little bit of a drop. I'm going to mark this right here, and we're going to edit it right out. But it might have happened once or twice before, but we'll just carry on from here. My first question, or from here, I'd love to know about the perfect person. There's many creators out there, and maybe you can channel yourself way back right before you went to Mexico and how you were feeling. What are some of the core problems, three simply defined problems that somebody who could use this course is experiencing right now?
I love that. Well, I did learn when I did a course years ago with John and Missy Butcher. They have one that is 13 chapters on how to design your life, right? And it's called Life Book. So I did one with them. And then I decided, like, there's certain times I want to focus on different topics. Now they have different topics around health and well-being and around relationships and around wealth and finance and also around your business and also around parenting. So what I started doing is looking at what are the categories that are interesting to me. And Lisa Nichols brought up 4 categories. And number one is personal, like my relationship with myself. Another one is relationships with others. Another one is business and finance. And the last one is spiritual. Like, what is my spiritual growth? And so I've been doing those four topics. I don't always do all of them together. I might just pick one. So I think anybody who wants to enhance their life and create the life of their dreams, this is something that they can manifest through being clear and focused.
So, if they want to create the life of their dreams, then in this moment before they've met you, they are indeed not living in the life of their dreams.
A lot of
What's
times they're
what,
a lot of times what's happened is people are living in a place of what they don't want and they don't realize they're saying it all the time, right? And so now in the vision board is starting to refocus on what do you want and what do you want to create. So I think what it's
but
doing is giving
before,
them a path of clarity and focus on focusing on what do I really want? What
and
do I
that
really
is
want?
an excellent application of the vision board. But in this moment, I do want to know about their problems and what they're not wanting.
Well, one of them would
And
be relationships. If they want to call a
excellent.
partner in, or they want to call a partner in business, or they want to call a vendor in. So one could be relationships, like who do they want to grow either, and it could even be a relationship with themselves, how they want to show up in self-care, how they want to show up in movement or longevity, like I had on mine, is what are the things I have to pay attention for my best choices for longevity. It's movement, nutrition, rest, and my mindset. So now those are my creativity um, pieces inside of that vision board for my health and well-being is longevity, right? So
Perfect. And
another, it could be
another thing
health
we can
and, I mean, one could be health and well-being. Another one could be wealth and business. How do you want to be in your business world? Do you want to call in business partners, new clients, somebody to help create funnels? Like, who is it that you need in your business? That could be one of your vision boards. So each one could be to solve something that you're either have a desire for or a wish for or want to create an opening for. It might be for education. Like my daughter did one before she went to college, and she talked about which colleges she wanted to get in. She talked about which focus of studies, making friends, living on campus. She did different vision boards based on either lifestyle or education or learning or connection. One was about sports in high school. She did one around sports because she was playing tennis, and her team actually made it higher on in her sports ranking than they ever did before. And part of it was during COVID, they got to still play. Because they were outside playing tennis, they got to still play. But because of her vision board, she saw herself still playing, and that was really important for her. Instead of like, oh
awesome.
well, I'll just stay home like everyone else. No, her vision board was she was going to be on the tennis courts playing no matter what, and she did.
So, to read these back on what I'm gathering from this, just to identify who really needs this and what they're experiencing, they're in the world of what they don't want right now. And sometimes for me, that means like I've built a business where I'm actually responsible for doing a lot of things that I didn't really want to do, but I thought I was supposed to do. And then similar in a relationship, and we've talked about this in many different ways of whether I'm in a partnership and dissatisfied, or out of a partnership or dissatisfied, or have some kind of strange definition of what that might look like for me, and I'm dissatisfied, and wanting to call that in, and then also having that same thing in wealth. And a lot of these are connected in a lot of different ways, and there's a deep yearning, which is a really powerful thing I think many of us tap
Absolutely.
into. And then one of the
And it's
things that I'd like
amazing
to
how
transition
many
into,
people.
like figuring out three things that's different about your process. So first we've got I like the four quadrants: the personal, others, finance, and spiritual. So we're looking at a lot of different areas of life, not just one, not just how do I make the most work.
Mhm.
What other things do you think is really special about your visioning process? We have IP
Yeah.
thinking,
Well, one of the things we do talk
which is
about
something we talked
is
about before on the call.
once you
Can you
develop
give us a
something,
little
if it's
glimpse
very
of
special,
actually how that why that's special?
once you actually create something, if it is worthy of protecting, whether it's a copyright or a trademark, you do want to know your opportunities to protect it before you bring it out in the world. So I've had some projects where I've had to write copyrights or trademarks, but I also have some that I've written patents and already have patents approved. And once you know the system of how to protect your creations, you want to absolutely do that immediately. One of my coaches, Dan Sullivan, basically is writing copyrights, patents, or trademarks on a daily basis at this point. He's got something every day they're creating, but he has a system in place to protect it immediately. And I think that's a key right now in the marketplace is to do that. What's different about my system is actually it's step by step and lets people take action rather than just think about it. I talk to some people, and they're like, oh, I want to do a vision board. And I see them 3 months later and they're still like, I want to do a vision board and they haven't done one. But then they're stagnant in their life and they haven't had growth either. And they haven't had the relationship come in. And I also was with a group of women last year where there were about 20 of us, and all of us wrote vision boards. And then 3 months later, we saw each other in Austin. And it's amazing how many people talked about the things on their vision boards that were already coming true. So I think being with other people and maybe not doing it on your own might be a piece of it, is like have fun with your family. Like I mentioned, I had 12 people here over New Year's. We did it together. It was fun to take pictures of them together after. It was fun a couple months later on Valentine's Day when we talked about the things that came true in the last couple months too. So we had a reason to talk on Valentine's Day because we were talking about our vision boards and what is it that was
Mm.
special about it and has anything come true. And each one of us had something that had already come true.
I love this, and we've revealed other problems that we speak to. I love this. This speaks to the loneliness and kind of the relationship. Doing this in community, I don't want to vision by myself. I want to vision with others, and there's like an even. It makes it exciting. I'm feeling it right now. And then,
What's fun about that is like, even if you and I were together, I might see something in a magazine that I'm like, oh my God, Kyle, this is perfect for you. And I get to share it with you. And it just sparks so much joy letting other people see the higher vision of you as well. Right. And
mhm.
that's the beauty of doing it in community and kind of having a slumber party, if you would. When we did it in Southern California, it was my group called the Unicorns. JJ Virgin put a whole bunch of us women together and we have creativity together. And one of the things we did was make vision boards. And when we made them, I took pictures of everyone's vision board. And so then when I saw them 3 months later, I talked to them and I'm like, okay, let's pull up your vision board. What was on it? What came true? Are you celebrating this? What did you learn? And everyone had stories. That's the beauty is, Kyle, every single person had stories. So even as you're doing it in community with other people, just like I did, if you take pictures of it, wow, in a month or two, revisit it, pull up the picture, text it to them and say, hey, I'm looking at your vision board. Saw that you wanted to go to Tahiti. Did you get your tickets yet?
Mhm.
Be a friend, follow up, see, like prompt them, tell them you're paying attention, right? So
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing now with the 3 kids. The kids actually sent something to my daughter recently. And I think it's because they were so inspired by her when they did vision boards together. She was like a big sister helping them do theirs, right? I think
Yeah.
they're 10, 9, and 7. And just watching them be so excited and the 4 of them working together, it was their own little mini community of the kids, right? But when I took pictures, I got the 4 of them holding their vision boards. It's something they'll remember forever. Those kids absolutely loved it. They couldn't wait to do it again. They can't wait to be back here and do that together again.
Hmm.
So it's all ages. I remember when my daughter was 1 year old, which now she's going to turn 20. So this is 19 years ago. I had everyone over for her 1 year birthday. We had like 100 people come by that day, and I had people make a scrapbook page for her. And I had pictures out and stickers, and they wrote stuff. Do you know, still 19 years later, she'll open that scrapbook and read the notes and look at the pictures. And I think about each of those people that were there and how basically they wrote a little vision board for her. Each one of them, they were seeing what they wanted for her and putting it on paper. And now she has it in her scrapbook. It's basically all little mini vision boards for Abby. And it's such a joy that she still loves it.
Yeah. Okay. So next, I want to transition into finding a moment from your life that we're first going to reflect the moment of pain and challenge that our clients are feeling, and then we've actually created a wild abundance of moments after. So we're already covered on that front. and start to build a story. So I'll ask you some very specific questions. And what I specifically want is a time in your life where you were, I'll read some of the problems to you and when you were experiencing these in particular. And I'd love to know details about like what day it was, where you were, what you were feeling. I want to know about your experience. And in contrast, I do not want to know necessarily what you did about it yet or what I need to learn as a lesson. I just want to be in this the moment that spawned this.
Okay.
So tell me about the time in your life where you were living what you don't want. You had the success all around you. It seemed like everybody from the outside knew that you had it all together and you were dissatisfied with it. You were dissatisfied with your work and you weren't getting what you needed in your relationships, both, or, you know,
Mhm.
wherever that case may be, and your partner and your friends, anywhere else who is like creating and seeing on the same level. You're not having the wealth or the influence of your life and not wanting to have the impact. And I think most importantly, this might have been a time when one of your ideas wasn't safe. Was there a time where you had a really good idea that wasn't safe and you created it on a vision board and it got taken and made you feel all of these bad things?
Hmm. Well, that I can't say has happened yet, but I will think about it
Okay.
for a second.
Yeah.
Um, but the time I was thinking about actually hasn't been in my adult life. The time that I'm thinking about that fits this category was when I was 12 years old and I was working. I'd
Beautiful.
already been working for 6 years and I was 12 years old. And I remember saying, enough, I don't want to do this any longer, and having a conversation with my parents.
What were you working on for 6 years?
I know. From 6 years old to 12 years old, I was doing commercials in Manhattan. Most of them were filmed at the World Trade Center, which was the Twin Towers in Manhattan. And I was between the ages of 6 and 12. I had my Screen Actors Guild, my SAG card, and I was doing modeling and commercials and all kinds of, things on Broadway. And my mom was such a promoter of all of it and loved it. And when I was 6 years old and 7 and 8, I liked it a little and maybe a lot at sometimes. But by the time I was 12, I just wanted to hang out with my friends and not miss school anymore. And so I lobbied my parents to allow me to stop doing that, which was making commercials and missing school is how I saw it. So, yeah, I was 12 years old and it wasn't working for me and it wasn't making me happy. And I had to have a come to Jesus moment. And the things not safe were on two sides. Number one, with my family and disappointing them, but also in the studio. Here I was, a 11, 12-year old young lady. And I was like in the 1970s and 1980s. And I was working behind the camera, but I was working in front of the camera, but behind the camera were usually a dozen men who were all, in their 30s and 40s and 50s maybe. And it was very intimidating sometimes to be an 11 and 12-year-old girl who's being directed by all of these strong men. And I want to have a voice, but I'm learning to have a voice. And I think part of me having a voice was saying I didn't want to do this anymore for a reason, is because sometimes it didn't feel safe. It was really a Mad Men type of environment. And here I was, a young girl wanting to stay in wonderment in my, youth. And I had to fight for it. And so it's interesting that you asked me that question because it's not something I ever thought about before.
It's
But we
great.
mentioned you were here at my house and we
Perfect.
did some deep work, and in that deep work it's taking me back to this frame of mind and this time frame in my life, and I'm seeing I had to stand up for myself at 12 years old.
What did you say to your parents? Was there a specific line, and what did they say back to you first?
I
Or,
think what I said originally is I don't want to miss school anymore. I want to be like the other kids and be in school and hang out with my friends. And here I was working and doing this stuff, and it was really great on one hand, but as a 11 and 12-year-old, I didn't understand why it was great for me then. And it seemed like it was more great for my parents than it was for me because they were enthusiastic and happy about it. But it wasn't me living my dream, it was me living my mom's dream in that moment. So what was scary was standing up and saying, I think I'm living your dream, not mine. And for me, I'd rather be in school with my friends. It really was that simple. And they were like, you don't know how lucky you are. And you're so entitled and you have all these opportunities. Why would you throw it away? And I just wanted to defer it until I was older. And so I didn't feel like I was throwing it away. And actually, if you look at it now, me owning a PR and marketing company is the other side of the camera. I learned this skill in advertising, marketing, and PR back when I was doing commercials between 6 and 12, because what it taught me is the whole advertising method, right? From beginning, being in front of the camera, looking at, I would look at storyboards and see my lines, and I learned all of that, by being basically a SAG member and doing commercials and doing things like that. So um, there were skills that I learned that I'm grateful for now, and I have to remember to thank my mom for those skills that were given to me and those opportunities that were given to me. And at the age of 11 and 12, I remember when my daughter went through 11 and 12, they don't know the big scope of things and how lucky they are. She was invited on the Ellen DeGeneres show when she was about 11, and she said, "No, thank you. I don't want to go. I don't want to be different than the rest of the kids." Ironically, she said basically the same thing I said. And she was honored for that. We didn't make her do it. We didn't ask her to do it. We told her that was fine.
Isn't it funny? This probably before we had talked about this. This was a story that filed under the. I don't. I'm not super excited to talk about this kind of story, right? But it's well. Let's see what we can do with this. I think I have enough details to craft a story. Are you ready for your
I am
story?
ready. And I've never crafted a story around this before. So this will be the first time. I just lived it and I'm now remembering it. So thank you for bringing it back to the surface, I
Absolutely.
think.
Yeah. I'll drop in and then I'll let you know when I'm complete. You don't know how lucky you've got it. I'm standing there across from my parents and I'm saying I want to change. It's amazing because everybody at school sees what I'm doing. I'm acting in commercials. I'm in on the screen. I'm going to Broadway at 8 and 11 years old, or eight through 11 years old. This was one of the most impressive things about me. And I saw my mom every time we were doing a photo shoot, so excited for me. But it was exciting at first. It felt like being a star. I loved the clothes that I was dressed in. But more and more I felt that I was doing things that I didn't really want to be doing. It took a lot of time to go to all these shoots and do all of these things. And meanwhile, I wanted to spend time with my friends. I wanted to live a life. And they thought that I was all this successful person, which is strange to even think about at such a young age as a child. But I really realized that I wasn't living my dream one time when I'm standing in a room in front of many different cameras and I'm an 11-year-old girl and all of these men in their 30s and 40s with the best intentions, but they're just directing me around and just leaving me do it as a puppet. And I decided there, right in that moment, in that quietness, in that loneliness, that I wanted to have a better life. And I started from that young age to speak up for what I did want. I went back home to my parents, so proud and supportive, and said that I wanted to spend more time with my friends. And they told me I should feel so lucky. But that day was really the day that I began creating a process that would define the rest of my life. This process took many years and a lot of costly and painful mistakes. But I started writing out what kind of life that I wanted to create. Not just in my work or what I wanted to do, but my personal life, my relationships with others, my finance, my spirituality, and began to have deeper conversations over the years that allowed me to build businesses and create ideas, and even create a company that allowed me to be the one behind the camera directing the story instead of being in front of it, being directed. I learned how this process not only helped me clarify my ideas, but protect them and make sure that they were respected and trusted, even before they were all perfectly figured out. And I wanted this process to be simple so I could do it step by step, no matter where I was, and be calm and collected and clear while it was all happening. And I began this vision process was something that has defined my life. I had communities of people filling out vision boards together and sharing their progress in a few months over Valentine's Day and having relationships together. I created a vision board with one of my daughters when she was born for a baby shower and having many people speaking into the futures that they wanted to see for her. And she still shows it to me. And I've seen so many people coming up to me and thanking me for this process that I realized that this was so much bigger than I could do or facilitate or help on my own. And that's why I put together this course and this system so that you too can start creating the life of your dreams in every way, one vision at a time. And I'm going to teach you just that right now. There's the story.
Yay, I love it. I love that you got that from what we were just talking about. And yeah, it's that simple. And I think what it is just taking the time and taking the energy and taking the intuition and the intentions and mixing it all together as the perfect bag of ingredients for right now. And just do it. Just do it.
Beautiful. Well, we've got the story now. You're ready to go. Do you have any closing thoughts for us today? And where can we go to learn more about you?
So, closing thoughts is connection matters more than anything. Bring some people with you, plan your vision, work together, and have fun. Have a lot of fun and celebrate. I would love you to not only do your vision board, but show me how you not only did it, but then how you celebrate and what's come true for you. So, share that information. I'm at Lee at goasklee.com, and it's goasklee, Lee.com. And for the vision boards is goasklee.com/vision. And we'll have the course in there. I think my team is putting it so that they get a little scholarship so we can make it really easy for them to say yes. It's not about anything other than taking action and getting it done. So we want to remove all barriers, make it super simple, and just get in there and get your vision board done today. Make it fun. Get it started.
Beautiful. Lee Richter, thank you so much for joining us today on the Story Engine podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you.